Tennessee Valley Across the Table brings locals, often strangers with different views, together to have a conversation, not to debate issues, but to learn who we are as people. I'm Will Davis, and this series is inspired by StoryCorps and produced and edited by my honors students at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. This episode is by Caleb Kulon.
Here's Kerry Webb sharing her unique upbringing with Kendra Satterwhite.
The town that I grew up in, or the school that I went to, was 100% white. And I had never even really spoken to a black person or any person of color growing up. And when I was 16, I ran away from home to Miami, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yes, it was very different.
Yeah.
And so I got a big culture shock all at one time.
Yeah.
And I remember the neighbors were Haitians. And they said, don't talk to the Haitians because they sacrifice chickens. And I thought, oh, okay, well, now I want to know why. And I went and talked to the Haitians, and it wasn't even a sacrificing. It was, they were cooking the chickens.
They were eating
they cut the heads off like you used to do it. Yeah. So I learned that people, no matter how different they look or how different they seem, we're people, and we have common connections, even if we're very different.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, too. Me growing up, like, so Republican, it's kind of instilled in you that, yeah, like, you're expected to do what's best for you and your life, and, you know, anybody that doesn't, they're just not doing life correctly, and it's on them to figure that out. And, I mean, as I've gotten older, I've seen that, like, there are circumstances that I cannot even imagine that some people grow up in, you know, in the U.S. and abroad or wherever. Yeah. And, you know, it's not always fair to have that mentality.
Yeah.
So you have experience with homeless people. Were you homeless yourself?
Yes, I was.
You were? How long was that?
2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me what that's like, honestly.
Well, there's different versions of homeless.
Right.
So, you know, there's the living on the street 24/7.
Right.
And then I was more like the couch surfing type of homeless. Like, I didn't have anywhere to go all the time. And I did sleep in the park sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes in an abandoned building, but not very often. I usually had a place to go.
Yeah.
So, but it's still, you don't have any security or stability.
I'm sure it's scary sometimes, just not having, like, do you think you handled the stress of not knowing what your future was very well, or did you feel optimistic all the time, or?
I was just a free soul.
Yeah.
I didn't care at the time.
Yeah.
You know, I loved Miami and the environment, but then it was also a very scary environment
I'm
too.
Sure, yeah.
Very violent, a lot of drugs, and I'm lucky that I never did drugs.
I was just going to say that's
it just didn't interest me. So I think that's really what helped me get through.
That was Kerry Webb and Kendra Satterwhite, and I'm Caleb Kulon, an honors student studying biology pre-med at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. I produced this piece with help from my classmates and Will Davis at the UTC PodLab.